solve this inequality, you start by adding 5 to both sides. Therefore, the solution in inequality form is x is greater than 6. Now we need to convert this to a graphical solution, and I'm also going to write it in interval notation. I'm going to show 2 different ways to graph the solution. One thing to keep in mind about the number line is that the arrow pointing to the left is the direction for negative infinity. So if you kept going in the left direction, the arrow pointing to the right indicates going towards the positive infinity. One way to graph it is to go to 6, and for this one we would put an open circle. If it's a greater than or less than, you would use an open circle. If it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, you would use a closed circle. And for the inequality, since it reads as x greater than 6, we would actually shade to the right side or towards the positive infinity. Another way to graph this is to use bracket or parenthesis notation. So going back to our inequality symbols, the open circle is equivalent to using a parenthesis. And the closed circle is equivalent to the bracket. So the same graphical representation for this inequality could be rewritten as a parenthesis on 6 and then shade in the direction of the positive infinity. If you're writing a solution in interval notation, it helps to write it using the graph it using the parenthesis or bracket notation. Interval notation is basically writing all the important parts from the graph, but not actually drawing the graph. So the first thing you write is the leftmost point, which in this case is the 6. And since 6 is not included in our solution, we use a parenthesis. So it's the same reason we use the parenthesis on our graph, which is the same thing as the open circle. But if you're writing it in interval notation, we don't use the open circle, we would only use the parenthesis. And then you put comma and the rightmost number on your graph. So if there's an arrow going towards the positive infinity, that would be a positive infinity. Whenever there is an infinity or negative infinity in our answer, that would always be a parenthesis, it would never be a bracket. And so we have 3 ways to write our solution for this inequality. X is greater than 6, the graph of the solution for all the numbers that are greater than 6, and the interval notation.